Nigeria's real estate industry is on fire. What's really fueling the flames? With cities growing and skyline expanding, it looks like a boom. But beneath the surface, is this a tale of resilience or warnings of a sign of an economic mirage? In this video, we take a dip into the numbers, the players, and the contradictions shaping Nigeria's real estate industry, and why the entire system might be walking a financial tightrope. The roots of Nigeria's real estate industry trace back to the colonial era, when new urban centers like Lagos, Ibadan, Enugu, and Kano began to emerge. As rural dwellers flocked these cities, the demand for housing gave birth to an industry. After independence, government at various levels led housing development efforts, from civil service estates to federal housing schemes, often backed by institutions like the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria. But with the economic reforms in the 90s and the early 2000s, the private sector began to take more leading roles. By the 2010s, real estate firms and individuals became the dominant players in Nigeria's property space. Thanks to an ever-increasing urban pool into major centers in many places like Lagos, for instance, the prospect looks much promising. However, this seeming boom might have actually hit a very rocky start that may see the whole system collapse like a pack of dominoes. And here's why. You see, with over 230 million people and counting, Nigeria has the largest population in Africa and one of the youngest too. That's a massive base for real estate demand. But a booming industry needs more than just people. It needs four things: population, infrastructure, a healthy economy, and regulation. Let's break them down respectively. You see, for there to be any sources of investing to real estate in any part of the world, there needs to be demand for those houses, either for residential or commercial purposes. And this is what Nigeria has been successful with. Population, a lot of it. Lagos is home to over 23 million residents. Then there is Kano, Ibadan, Abuja, Port Harcourt, Enugu. The list goes on. These are not just cities, they are melting pots, pressure cookers of urban expansion. And this population momentum shows no sign of stopping. For developers, that's a dream. So for population requirements, that's a pass for Nigeria. As for infrastructure, now that's where things begin to fall apart for Nigeria. Great real estate centers like Dubai, New York, and the list goes on succeeded because of good investments in infrastructure. Nigeria, on the other hand, struggles with the very basics. Take for instance a city like Lagos, which faces poor electricity supply, failing water system, broken roads, and environmental degradation. Now you get the picture. Enugu also, which is an emerging real estate hotspot, still also suffers similar issue. Lack of proper road access to many of these emerging estates, and also almost no public water supply. Abuja also, which has witnessed in recent times a huge resurgence of real estate at the outskirts, also suffers similar issues. And to make matters worse, one power grid collapse and you're sleeping in darkness in that your luxury flat. These challenges forces developers to bear the cost of infrastructures themselves, be it water, roads, electricity, which then inflates the price of the overall property. And this has led to a horizontal expansion in most Nigerian cities instead of the vertical rises that you see in modern emerging urban centers. And for the few high rises, many remain underused because they are too expensive to maintain without reliable power. So in regards to infrastructure, that's a huge fail. And then there's the economy. Real estate booms are usually a sign of economic growth. In China, for example, a rising economy drove real estate surge, But Nigeria's case is the opposite. You see, Nigeria's real estate is booming. While inflation climbs, unemployment rises, purchasing power crashes. The result? Developers bid for market that can't actually afford what they are selling. Or worse, they are not bidding for real people at all. This unsustainable approach might ultimately lead to a bubble, and we see property prices crash at some point, since the boom was a mirage. So in economy, that's another fair for Nigeria. Then we come to regulation, or better, the staggering lack of it. To say Nigeria's real estate industry is underregulated would be an understatement. It's quite frankly a chaotic place. Most cities don't follow their master plans, that's where they even have one. Some suburbs, outskirts, entire layouts are developed with zero regards for planning, and in many states these areas aren't even accounted for in official state master plans. Why? Corruption.
Against corruption, no fewer than 6
Fight corruption.
alleged corruption ties.
Developers know exactly how to maneuver around zoning restriction and real estate policy enforcement. With the right connections or cash to grace the right palms, land meant for agriculture or public infrastructure are swiftly converted into private estates. Take Enugu for example. In just 5 years, it has become a wild frontier for real estate. Every stretch of bush is now marketed as an estate. The rates of which layouts are being carved out is baffling. You would think that there's a contest on who can grab the land fastest. You see, anyone with 100 million and the right connections can acquire an entire layout and brand it private estate. The city seems to have long lost count here. And here's the thing, most of these properties are residential regardless of the original zone. Land meant for commercial use, industry or food production is being built over with the same cookie cutter bungalows. It's a land rush, but we need it all. The question is, who is buying? You think it's the middle class, but no. Many of these estates are quietly scooped up by a few ultra-wealthy individuals, and a disturbing number of those acquisitions are linked to proceeds from fraud, drug trafficking, or looted public funds. Yes, Nigeria ranks 5th in the world for property-based money laundering, according to the Global Financial Integrity. In the words of Musa Rafsanjani, the Executive Director of the Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center, Abuja, Lagos, and Port Harcourt are hotspots, not just for real estate growth, but for washing dirty money clean. And here's the kicker. Real estate is the perfect hiding spot. The system is too decentralized, land record disorganized, ownership tracking a nightmare. So even when the EFCC shows up, they often stop chasing shadows. Real estate in Nigeria has become a fortress for illicit wealth, an asset class that stays protected even under investigation. That's why many of the rich, especially those with questionable earnings, aren't investing in industries, factories, or malls. They are buying land, holding it, hoarding it, or just take it offshore. It's called land banking, but make no mistake, it's wealth freezing, not wealth creation. These plots are not contributing to the economy, they are just lying in wait, underutilized. And meanwhile, average Nigerians are drowning under skyrocketing rents. Agents and developers keep inflating property prices to absurd levels. Desperate buyers get scammed. Not to mention the hidden charges associated with these properties, which in some cases outweigh the listed prices of the property. This fraudulent scheme often forces buyers to pay up ridiculous amount of money to consolidate their purchases, and thus the cost of living crisis deepens. The bottom line, the real estate industry in Nigeria is not just underregulated, it's dangerously so. It's a gold mine for the corrupt, a trap for the poor, an ongoing failure of governance. So what do you think? Do you think Nigeria's real estate industry is experiencing a boom? Or is it setting itself up for a bubble? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to keep getting quality content like this. See you next time.